so tired. Oh my gosh. Let's talk about boys. Hey Baes, it's Rissa May, and today I'm going to be giving you advice on boys in high school and my experience in high school, what I would do differently, what I would still do. So let's get into it. Before I get started, I want to give a little disclaimer. Everybody's story is different. Everybody experiences things differently. Everybody wants to experience things differently. I'm not telling you you should live exactly how I live, exactly how I did things, exactly how I think things should be done. I'm just giving the advice would have done differently and what I would continue to do. First things first, I think it's important to talk about self-respect. You need to love yourself before you can love others, and I think that's extremely important to have enough respect for yourself so that you can choose somebody that will have enough respect for you and that will love you the way that you are. My second piece of advice is don't lower your standards. If you've heard that analogy of the apple tree, like a guy comes along and he picks the lower apple because it's the closest ones, but the apples at the top of the tree are the most juicy and flavorful and like just the best ones. It's kind of like the same situation where if you're looking for a guy, you don't want to choose the first guy that just comes along that's the easiest to get just because they're giving you the attention and blah blah. You want to wait for somebody that'll reach your expectations and your standards, that'll be the highest apple and you'll have the most enjoyment with. I don't know. And I have a story to go along with this one. So I met this guy back in October. We'll call him Richard. So I met Richard back in October of 2021, and the only reason why I liked Richard was because he was giving me attention and he was showing that he was interested, and that was the only reason why I liked him. He wasn't even that cute. I don't know why. Ugh. But I definitely lowered my standards, and the fact that he was not cute means he was rude to me. He played me so bad. He played me. I was the one that ended up getting hurt because I lowered my standards. So don't lower your standards and you're less likely to get hurt. The third piece of advice is always make your intentions clear. You need to know what you want out of the relationship before you get into the relationship, which in the story that I'm going to tell you, I did know my intentions, but I was too scared to tell him. So this story, we'll call him, what's like a douchey name? Chad. We'll call him Chad. So Chad, I met him in December of 2021. We hung out a few times. I'm the one that initiated the contact. I asked for his snap. But out of this relationship, before this I had just barely gotten out of a relationship that did not end well, which I will tell you about later. I was not in a good place and I definitely did not want to be in another relationship. So I wasn't looking for a relationship out of this. I just wanted to have fun and go on dates with lots of people. But we hung out a few times and had fun, and one night we kissed, and that night he said, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not mentally prepared for a relationship. I can't do this. And he unadded me on Snapchat. And I was the one that ended up getting hurt again because I didn't tell him what I wanted out of the relationship, because for him, kissing meant, oh, now we're in a relationship, like we're involved. But I didn't see it that way at all. I saw it as having fun and going and having experiences with different people, and I got really crushed because of that. My fourth piece of advice is don't make excuses for them. So for example, if I text a guy and he leaves me on open or read, I'm like, oh, he's probably busy at work, or he's spending time with his family, or he's hanging out with his friends, or he's just busy in general, when in reality, he could have just not wanted to text me back. I don't like making excuses for boys because I feel like it gives you false hope for something that could actually not be happening. Like in that situation, he really doesn't want to talk to you, but you are giving excuses to make it seem like he does want to talk to you, he just doesn't have time at the moment. And that can hurt you. My fifth piece of advice is communication is key. This story is about the second guy in my chronological order mess, but right now it's the third guy. I met him in November, end of October, early November. We started dating. We really hit it off. He was super nice. The only thing about it is that I didn't really like him. I didn't like his personality. I only liked the fact that he was giving me the attention that I wanted, and that was the only reason why I was hanging out with him, but I didn't know it at the time, and so I just like went along with it. He ended up being official for about 2 weeks when he broke it off. The reason why he broke it off is because he had just barely gotten out of a 2-year long distance relationship and still was trying to process like getting over that relationship, which is very understandable, but he could have told me that 2 weeks prior when we weren't involved, because at that point I had completely involved myself really bad. And so when he broke it off, I became very upset. He said some very rude things back. Communication is so important. Like, just always make sure that you're sharing how you feel with that person. To counteract that story with the story of my current boyfriend, we are so good at communication, like the best communication I've ever seen and experienced. Something that we always say is that we are best friends first. I tell him everything, no judgment, and he tells me everything, no judgment, and we are always able to talk to each other about anything, which I think is extremely important. My sixth piece of advice is take time for yourself. Even if you are involved with somebody, you're still a sister, you're still a daughter, you're still a cousin, you're still an aunt, you're still like all of these things, you're still a friend, you're still a student. Don't try to just be a girlfriend. Also try to keep the connections and be other things, because I had an experience where I was only focused on being a girlfriend. I wasn't focused on the other things, especially being a friend, and I lost those connections. They weren't as strong, and when I got broken up with, I didn't have a big backup system to help me get through it. But like also at the same time, still like to do the things that you like to do. Like, for example, before I started dating my boyfriend, I loved to read, I loved to journal, I loved to write letters, I loved to work out, play lacrosse, like all this stuff. He had the things that he loved to do also. And when we started dating, he encouraged me to still do those things, and I encouraged him to do the things that he loves to do. I think that we're both happier because of it, and we're still able to have like our own separate lives while still being with each other, which I think is really cool. If he were to leave on a trip, which he did, for 10 days, I was still able to function as my own person because I still had those things that I needed to do, could do, and wanted to do, even when he wasn't here. My seventh piece of advice is do it for the right reasons. Don't just get involved with somebody because they're giving you attention or they are showing interest. Do it because you genuinely have a connection with them and you genuinely want to get to know them and you genuinely like them for who they are, because I know that you'll be happier that way, like I was and am. My eighth piece of advice is something that we always hear. If he wanted to, he would. If he wanted to text you back, he would. If he wanted to take you out on a date, he would. Just like putting that in any context. For example, I'm gonna be kind of bragging here a little bit, but yesterday my boyfriend took me on a surprise picnic date. He was like playing music and he made me this food and took me to my favorite spot. But yeah, that's just a little example of if he wanted to, he would. My ninth piece of advice is don't rush it, just enjoy the experiences while you have them. I'm gonna tell another little insight about my relationship. We started off as friends, kind of stayed that way for a long while. We never had the conversation of what are we? We didn't have that conversation for about 3.5 months, which I think is amazing because I was able to just grow my friendship with him. And then we slowly, gradually got to those steps where it led up to us becoming official. If you're gonna take anything away from this, take that, because I am literally so happy and I'm having the best time in my relationship with him, because probably specifically because of that reason, because I got to know him as a person without focusing on does he like me, when's he gonna kiss me, when's he gonna hold my hand, like all that stuff. I just got to know him as a person, And I think that's the best way to go about a relationship. My 10th and final advice is it's okay to be single. I feel like in high school, it's so premeditated, I guess, to be in a relationship. Even in middle school, like, relationships were like the big thing. It's okay to be single. I was single sophomore and junior year, and pretty much all my senior year, kind of. I had the best time. I had the best connections. I had so much fun with my friends and just getting to know different people. So recommend going on lots of dates with lots of different people so that you get those experiences. I had a blast my sophomore and junior year. And even though I was like, it would be so nice to have a boyfriend, I wouldn't have given up those 2 years for anything. It was like such a neat experience to be single and to just live that life and to really just focus on myself and be the person that I want to be. If you're going to take anything away from that, let it be that. It's okay to be single. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. I also want to do more advice videos. I have a few more ideas, like regular school anxiety. I just have different ideas for high school advice. Let me know if you want to hear those. And also let me know if there's any other advice you guys want to hear. I'd love to hear your ideas so that I can share my wisdom. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.